Today's episode is brought to you by Mazars.
SoundCartel.
Okay, you've got a great digital business idea, but lack the technical know-how and funds to produce it. But what if there was a startup-in-a-box solution that provided the skills and expertise to bring your idea to life? From SoundCartel, I'm Nicole Goodman, and this is Business Essentials Daily. Building software is incredibly expensive, and not every founder is also a back-end developer, designer, or chief technology officer. But these issues shouldn't dissuade people from pursuing what could be highly scalable businesses. Keith Davison is partner and COO at Dovetail, a digital studio and venture builder that helps startups bridge their resource gap to become fully fledged companies. Dovetail Ventures is their hybrid model. Think VC, startup accelerator, and software development company all in one. Successful Aussie startup Afterpay is one example of Dovetail's product support capabilities, a relationship that continues to this day. Keith explains to me the Dovetail Ventures approach, what makes them different, and what makes startup success.
At Dovetail Ventures, what we're able to do is partner with those founders on day one. We essentially take some equity in that company and provide our engineering, product, and design services at cost price. So if you have an idea, but you actually don't have the capability to build software, or maybe you haven't been able to find some technical engineers to help you build the product, what we do is we present you with an alternative option, not only to help you actually build your product in the first 12 to 18 months, which is obviously crucial to the business idea, but also then everything that goes with it. So that startup incubator, advisory and mentor network, as well as founder support, and as well as capital and a whole host of other services that we bring to the table to actually help you launch your startup. We sort of refer to it as startup in a box, right? Because if you've got an idea and we think it's a good idea, we can support you completely in bringing that digital business to market. And one of the unique parts about it is that we're essentially a bunch of founders and entrepreneurs and engineers that have built and sold companies as part of our own background. So we also bring that extensive founder experience to the table as part of our venture building studio. There isn't too many in Australia that are similar. People are more familiar with venture capitalists and startup accelerators. So this would be a venture building studio, which is slightly different, but has a lot of those components.
What is your equity ask?
Our model takes 10% of the company up front and then provides our engineering, product, and design capabilities at cost price. Now, to actually understand the comparison, you go to market, you try and source a co-founding CTO. Let's say you find one. You might need to give this individual anywhere between 20 to 50% because they're essentially your core business partner, right? Why wouldn't you incentivize them? Plus, let's remember that in the early days of companies these days, all these founders are paying themselves salaries. And it's a nominal amount. So actually, when you compare the models just with one extra headcount, we're 10 to 15% less on equity. And when you think about the array of skills that we bring to the table for essentially what we call a cost price managed service or retainer, it's almost potentially the better option. That's certainly the way we look at it, because we actually work hand in glove, hour to hour, day to day with these founders to build these companies, right? It's much more hands-on. So in the VC model, I might hand over a few $100,000 of capital and provide access to a couple of advisors. That's almost the extent of the relationship, right? Whereas in our model, it's like we're talking about daily stand-ups here. So like every single day, you have a team of 3 to 4 people that are dedicated from Dovetail to help you build your company. And so I think that's the big difference is like, not only we're helping you build your product, which VCs and startup incubators don't technically do, they just advise on that. We physically do it ourselves with your guidance and vision. The other piece is we bring all of those pieces together, right? So we got all the investor networks, we got all the advisors, we've got a team of 85 people currently today that can help you with everything from legal support through to sales support, through to marketing support, through to, you name it, engineering, design. We've got a full suite of business services that is just completely unique. You can't do that in your own company, right? You've got one person that has a certain skill set. you need to go and hire or go get contractors. So no matter which way you slice the dice, you got to bring in skills, and your only tradable currency is equity or cash.
Yeah.
Or maybe time, but time, you'll get cash or equity in return for that. And that's what makes the venture building model quite interesting, is it really gives you an accelerated, experienced, proven model to get your startup to market as quickly as possible and in the best possible fashion. Plus, we think it's pretty cost competitive, not only on essentially cash flow, but also on the amount of equity that you're giving up in the first 12 months of your company.
So for some of these less technical founders, perhaps, what do they need to consider in their pitch to you, and what criteria do they need to meet?
First and foremost, there needs to be a big opportunity. Ideally, it needs to be global, and it needs to be a big enough opportunity to get investors or partners excited. The second piece is product. What we need to see here is essentially a product vision, and that product vision needs to be completely centered on solving a problem for a particular part of the market, right? And we also need to be in a position to believe that that is a problem worth solving. The third piece is team. So we need to see a founding team that has, really relevant experience and domain expertise. So that could be industry expertise or something similar. They need to be completely committed to building out a company. You can't just have sort of one half a foot in, not both feet in, which we see a lot, i.e. not just a side hustle. This needs to be something that you're going all in for. And this needs to be very much a highly skilled and diverse team, right? So we're looking for a whole combination of things when we talk about the founding group. And this is a huge component of our decision making. And then the final piece, which is actually normally the place where we see pitch decks or live pitches with founders falling a little bit short, is what we like to call evidence-based qualifiers. So where is the evidence that your idea is a good one, right? Now, it seems like quite a generic, lofty statement, but actually when you look for those evidence-based qualifiers to see whether this is a genuinely good opportunity worth solving, we're looking for things like primary and secondary data in terms of customer feedback. We're looking for financial modeling. We're looking for capital needs requirements. We're looking for go-to-market strategies, and more specifically within go-to-market strategies, a lot around the how. We see a lot of people providing these generic strategies with absolutely, no conviction on our side that actually can be done, and how would they do it. We like to see things around advisory teams. We like to see product wireframes. Like, even if you're just drawing it in a sketchbook, the fact that you think about a product in such a way that you can think through 10 or 15 different screens, all of these things compound into a good business case for solving a problem in the market with a digital product, right? And so that's a very high level sort of due diligence checklist that we look for. And I think if you can look to set the foundations right on those things and really tell a good story that's believable, compelling, and interesting, with, of course, hopefully a good ROI for investors as you go through the next 5 or 10 years, I think that's going to put you in a good position to raise capital.
And Keith, how has the pandemic impacted Dovetail?
We grew over 100% during the pandemic. We doubled the size of our company. I think the underlying macro reason for that is people needed to get digital solutions to market through the pandemic, right? Digital didn't slow down, it increased in velocity. So we were just nicely positioned in the sense that the business as a whole's core competency is building software and obviously building companies. And those two things accelerated during the pandemic. And again, I know we're not quite post-pandemic. I don't know what phrase we're calling it at the moment, but we're certainly, on the tail end of it, and it's sort of business as usual in the ANZ region. We only see that accelerating, right? There's no shortage of demand for digital skills right now. And I'm sure you're seeing a lot in the press at the moment that there's a digital skills shortage, which has been the case for many years now, but it's just getting worse because of the, obviously the border challenges, right? So we have that talent, and the people that have that talent are in demand. So it's good.
That was Dovetail Partner and COO, Keith Davison. This episode of Business Essentials Daily is produced by the team at SoundCartel. Thanks for listening. I'm Nicole Goodman. We'll bring you more Be Daily tomorrow. Follow @BE Daily Podcast across social media and head to bedaily.com.au for more from the Business Essentials Daily podcast. SoundCartel. This episode was brought to you by Mazars. To find out more, visit mazars.com.au. That's mazars.com.au.